Hello, good morning, everyone. I want to say thank you for joining the requisitions and purchase order training. My name is Ryan Benavides. I'm a buyer one for contracts and procurement. Today, I would like to go over walking you through the key information that needs to be documented when creating a requisition in CFS. We'll go over the required details, such as contact information, attaching required documents, and other important items from the requisition checklist that I'll be sharing. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of what's needed to ensure requisitions are complete and processed smoothly. So here we go. Purchasing requisitions overview. A purchase requisition is a formal request to purchase goods or services, requiring approval before the purchase can be made. Detailed guidelines related to the purchase requisitions are available on the CSUF IT website linked below. Trainings are available for creating a purchase requisition checklist, modifying a requisition, canceling a requisition, and much more. Included on this page is a QR code if you ever want to scan. This will take you to all these trainings mentioned. At the bottom, if you have any questions or need assistance when entering your purchase requisition, please email us at the DLCNP email listed here. This email is monitored by our staff and usually has a 36-hour turnaround time that it gets monitored by management. So we just recommend you use this email. Purchase requisition checklist. What should be included with the requisition, if applicable? So the vendor add requests that should be initiated through Smartsheet at the same time as submitting a requisition. We recommend this at the beginning because it could cause delays. Hearing back from the vendor, trying to get them set up into our system, it could cause delays. So we recommend to get this going as soon as possible. The vendor quote that includes tax and shipping. I bring this up because there has been times where this is not included in the quote, and after the requisition has been approved and assigned to a buyer, we find the higher amount needs approval again. Contractual documents that require review and signature. Contractual documents. These documents include anything that requires signature from upper management and risk department. The certificate of insurance, also known as COI. We now have new requirements as of November of this last year, where before the limits was about like half of what it currently is. So just keep in mind, if the vendor is coming to campus, the services are performed on campus, we will need a COI on file. The hospitality form, formerly known as D11. This process has changed this last year as well. It's no longer considered D11. And I will go over what the new form looks like in a later slide. IT processing authorization, the RATM approval. CPFM furniture, also known as ADA approval. Fleet management vehicle purchase justification, and branding approval from strategic communications. Also, chemical purchase request approval. All these items are items that is needed to proceed with a purchase order. Requisition checklist. What to include in header comments. Here I have listed just information that helps us process orders. As you can see here, CSUF contact information. We have here the name, department, phone number, email. We just request that everyone that needs to be CC'd when sending out the PO and for the vendor to contact if they have any questions. Be sure to add your information if you want to be included. We usually say more the merrier. If you want to include the entire department, whoever needs to be added to it, include them in it. And we will send off the purchase order or provide the vendor with that contact information. And then vendor contact information. This is really important to us because sometimes it is not included with the requisition, but this really helps us. And that is the vendor name, point of contact information, phone number, email. If this is a new vendor, you can mention this in the comment section. And then also term dates. Example, if the term dates is for a service or contract for the fiscal year between certain dates, you would add term beginning of fiscal year through the end of the fiscal year. We usually do our diligence with looking at vendor history, but including this information will only make the requisition process faster. Oh, and also here, previous PO and contact number and mentioning if this is a renewal. If you have any of this information, it only helps us. So on this slide, I want to show an example of how the information is passed from the requisition to the purchase order. On the left, you can see the requester included the supplier, vendor contact info, CSUF contact info, term dates, the previous PO number, and the IT authorization number. As you can see on the right, not all information is included on the purchase order, only what is needed for the vendor. Also, I wanted to point out the star on the bottom right. Usually this is where the signature will be found on an authorized purchase order. The example on the right are here. Departments are not authorized to make a purchase or contract a service without an approved purchase order. Sign any contractual agreement, example, license agreement, memorandum of understanding, or CSU agreements. These items might not be honored by the university. Pick up merchandise with an approved CSUF issued purchase order, and allow any work to be performed by contractor prior to the date of written approval. This shall be performed at the contractor's own risk if this was to happen. And the example on the right, I want to show this is the same purchase order that was in the previous slide. As you can see on the bottom right, this one is unauthorized. Users or requesters are able to print out the purchase order in CFS, but this will not be an authorized document that can be sent out to the vendor. So just keep note of that. It has to be signed by our department. Requisition tips. Include all pertinent information in the header comments. The process of converting a requisition to a purchase order takes time, particularly if a new vendor is involved. If the IT review is necessary, and if terms and conditions need a review, and if there's project deadlines to meet. So start early, and again, please contact us if you have any questions. Please note on the bottom here, it says missing documents and approvals will lead to procurement delays. And it could also lead to us returning the requisition. So please include everything that is important to the requisition. On this page, it actually has a QR code that goes to our website and any of our contact information. Again, we really suggest using that DL email just because it is monitored. But you could always give us a call and if you have to, come visit us. The procurement process. This is a breakdown of just the workflow of how things happen over here from requisition to purchase order, starting with initiate a new requisition. Requisition is approved by the department. Requester submits requisition in PeopleSoft. Budget check. We put on here 24-hour clearance, but really it's the next business day. Is usually when it goes from CFS, the requester and financial approver side, to go over to CMP side. So purchasing lead assigns requisition to buyer, and then buyer goes through purchasing process. I wanted to pause here to highlight this step could take the majority of the time. All applicable items from the rec checklist mentioned earlier will need to be completed before moving on the step. As mentioned in the previous slide, if not everything is complete or submitted with the requisition, it could lead us to returning the requisition, and this process will start over from the beginning. Then it goes on to buyer dispatches PO, buyer places PO with vendor, shipping and receiving department receives item against PO, shipping and receiving department delivers item to requester, then invoice is sent to accounts payable for payment issuance, And depending on the PO, AP performs a two-way or three-way match. And then finally, payment is made according to terms. Please note, depending on the type of purchase, if no shipping is needed, this process would go from step 8, or where buyer places PO with vendor, to step 11, where invoice is sent to accounts payable for payment issuance and so on. So it basically skips the shipping and receiving department process on here. The next two slides are examples of the forms we need. On the left, it shows an example of certificate of insurance, and on the right is our new hospitality justification form that was just updated. On the left here, we have our unauthorized purchase approval request, also known as UPAR. On the right is our manual requisition form. These are used after year-end closing for emergency purchases. These forms can be found on the CMP website under Forms. This is the solicitation threshold charts as provided by the Chancellor's Office. I just want to mention anything under 50,000 here. This is maybe awarded when the price has been determined to have met the fair and reasonable standards. This is the easy part when it's under 50,000. So whenever it goes over 50,000 is when it's an informal process that requires additional steps and quotes. Please contact us for assistance on any orders over 50,000. And I wanted to give an example of a commodity quote. If a commodity quote comes in under 50,000, say 49,000, but doesn't include tax, shipping, and handling, or any additional fees, this will very likely bring the total, once we add it together, this will very likely bring the new total over the 50,000 threshold, which brings us to the informal process of making this purchase. So just know that there's a hard cutoff at the 50,000. After that, we have to go through additional steps. The next three slides are explaining the new process and definitions of independent contractor versus employee defined. Independent contractor versus employee. Employee, an individual in an employment situation in which the employer has the right to control and direct the individual with regard to the result to be accomplished and the process by which the result is accomplished. It's a tough one to actually read, but it gives an explanation of what an employee will be. But independent contractor, individuals who render a service and meet contractor conditions established by the IRS. They typically have a separate workplace, are not supervised, and have particular set of available elsewhere within our organization. They are not entitled to employee benefits and not covered by workers' compensation. An individual cannot be both an employee and an independent contractor for the same employer at the same time. There are very few circumstances in which the individual can properly be considered an independent contractor. Right here, this shows a clear separation of who is to contact if determined an employee or contractor. And then lastly, this page shows an approved email where the termination was that the vendor was to be considered an independent contractor. There will be more details to come regarding independent contractors and employees on a training on December 27th. So we just want to give a small viewing of what it actually looks like, what it is defined. Important links. Right here, we have listed important links that you could go through. It's our contracts and procurement website, the vendor ad request, the CPFM ADA furniture layout request, fleet management purchase, chemical purchases, and the independent contractor determination. And any questions?
There was, how do you guys want us to document on the purchase rec if HR made the determination that we should set up a PO for independent contractor?
Hi, good morning, guys. Ryan, thank you for the information, and that's a great question. We do have a training with HRIE, and we do stipulate that once they make their determination, you will get an email confirmation of their final determination, and we ask that you include that as a part of the documentation to your requisition through via the header comments. You could do that as an attachment, please.
Someone said that, do we know when we'll get access to the new hospitality form? I think the one linked in the website doesn't look like it's the one it showed us. So I just put in the link that we have to the hospitality form in the chat, and we'll update our slides for you before we publish them. Is there a way to access the approved POs through CFS?
Yes, we're working on putting a response on the chat for the team here.
So approved POs are only distributed by the buyer who dispatched them and must be signed by that buyer. You cannot access them unless we give them to you.
There's one from Erica. Can you clarify if the requester is responsible for obtaining the COI or if CNP handles that once they receive the requisition? Erica, I could answer that one. We have the main responsibility, but it does help if you ask that ahead of time from the sales rep or the company you're working with. Again, if you don't have it attached or if we don't see it with the requisition, we'll work with that particular supplier to request a certificate of insurance. But it does help expedite that if you already have someone in contact. So as chart field changes, how should we handle these? That could be handled through a change order request. You would, follow the process. I think there was a link that we had on the presentation that you'll have access to, and you could submit your request that way. So we can make those financial adjustments in the system. We do encourage you to put or come off mute and ask any questions, as this is the time for you to probably get some clarifications and understanding of what we go through as we see requisitions. I do see another one from Adolfo. Hello, if we receive an invoice that is different price mentioned in the approved PO, who do we contact to address the situation or how to approach the process differently? So Adolfo, a couple of scenarios here. If the invoice happens to be above the PO established price, then obviously we would probably need a change order request. If it's significant, I would say maybe over 10% tolerance of what you had the PO approved for. If it is under, then you could submit that through accounts payable and stipulate on your approved invoice that this is the final invoice that would trigger them to close out the PO on your behalf. And I hope that answers your question.
I did
Go ahead.
I did put the survey link in the chat for anyone to. And then there's another question on the chat.
Is there a document that explains when someone can submit a queue number from e-business versus submitting a purchase rec? There is. If you visit our website under forms or policies, you will see a procurement matrix. It breaks down the services that you could put on a P card versus what needs to be in a requisition. I would also encourage you to visit the e-business policy website so you could know what services do require a queue number. So again, if you visit our website and look at the procurement matrix, if the services you're requesting align with e-business policy, then you could proceed. But if it's telling you that it might be a prohibited or restricted service, that's when you submit a queue number request via the e-business email address. And just to dovetail of what Ryan mentioned earlier, we do appreciate you guys when you initiate the vendor onboarding process when you have a requisition. That sometimes helps expedite your request, but also keep or be cognizant that sometimes a vendor you have on the requisition might not be the vendor that we end up going with. We have different suppliers, different services that we could get from vendors that are already onboarded, and sometimes it helps us with state mandates with regards to small business or DBB requirements as well. Thank you. And Alex Arias was able to put the procurement matrix for our website. So that'll help you again determine whether a service should be on a P card or a requisition. And I want to just plug in another training that's coming with HRIE in conjunction with contracts and procurement. We will be doing a little bit more in-depth training with regards to the independent contractor determination process. We advise you to submit those requests via their Smartsheet process as well, because it could take anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks for them to give you that determination. You get an email the minute you submit your request, and the minute they do their review, you also get that email of the determination, and that again is the one they were asking you to submit as an attachment to your requisition. Any other questions? We encourage you. You have your whole procurement team here looking and eager to answer all your questions or any clarifications you might have with regards to our processes and how we handle your requests in our office.
So I guess I do have a question. So
Go ahead.
after a PO is issued and we submit our first invoice over to accounts payable, sometimes we notice after the fact that the chart field is incorrect. Accounts payable is telling us that we have to not only work with you all, but then we have to work with them to make sure that the chart fields are correct. Is that your understanding of how that works? Because it seems like we're doing double work if we particularly don't catch those that are not under the FUD, because that's our default for the chart fields. So it seems like it's double work sometimes. Again, it's our error for not catching it the first time, but we're noticing that if we don't catch it on the CMP side, then accounts payable is asking us to start to go back and do ETRs and all these things to kind of align the chart fields correctly.
So Crystal, I think if no payment has happened to the PO, you can request that change to happen on the CMP side of the house so that we could go into the PO and make those changes. I think what probably might be happening with AP is if they put a voucher, post a voucher against a PO, then we can no longer update the chart field account. What usually happens is through the process of a change order request, we would have to probably reduce the line amount to what AP paid against, let's say, the wrong chart field. And then we would, in purchasing, have to create a second line item for you to reference the remaining balance with the correct chart field account. And I think this is where the ETR component comes into play, where you might have to do an ETR to offset what was paid with the wrong chart field. Does that help?
Okay. Yes, it does make sense now. Thank you, Alex.
And that's a good question, Crystal. That goes for everyone who's on the call here. Again, if you know that there is a chart field error on your submitted requisition, because for us, they go through. We budget check, we approve them, and they're working on our end. But if you catch that, please reach out to us as soon as possible so that we could make those changes on the PO before any financial transactions happen on that said PO. If we do that ahead of time, we're able to save you time in correcting the chart fields without you having to deal with ETRs or others documentation associated with that.
All right, it looks like Alicia had a question in the comments. What is the current turnaround time from when a purchase rec is approved to when the purchase order is issued if the department submits all required upfront? And Lauren's answer was the average turnaround time is approximately 2 weeks. It really depends if all the required documentation has been provided. As mentioned during the presentation, any pending approvals or missing documents will make this take longer.
And just to dovetail of Lauren's response, again, the 2-week turnaround is assuming that all documentation is up to par or correctly submitted to us. Unfortunately, sometimes that could expand a little bit more, and it could be because the supplier might not be responding to our Smartsheet requests to onboard them or to complete their part of the process so that we could issue a PO. Another delaying tactic, especially with service orders, are if there are terms and conditions that they're asking us to review on your behalf or sign off. When that happens, we have to work with legal and risk management to ensure that the university is protected with the right caveats or the right documentation. Another component could be your certificate of insurance. That's what I mentioned earlier. If you could request it from the sales rep you're working with ahead of time, that helps. But sometimes the delay on that review is we got to make sure that the right thresholds are in place and that we are additionally endorsed as well. So again, the 2 weeks is ideal, and that's what we try to aim for. But there's a lot of external variables that could, extend that time for us. And we hope and we appreciate your understanding and patience with us with that.
I have a question. And this might be more for accounting, I'm not sure. I've come across several times that I can't find a requisition or a PO in the system in CFS. Like I'll search for it, or an OBIE, I'm sorry. I'll search for it and it will not show up. Has anyone encountered that? Was that common? Do we know why that's happening?
Natalie, I
Natalie,
think, go ahead.
go ahead.
I think you might be right about it. Might be more of an accounting scenario,
Okay.
and also to IT, right? IT makes CFS and OBIE, talk to each other. So sometimes there might be a delay in the data, being fed into the OBIE process.
Okay. Sometimes it'll be a really long time and it just will not show up, and it kind of makes you feel like maybe I'm losing my mind, but perhaps it's it's not me, it's the system. So maybe I
Natalie,
should, yeah.
you just have to be, you also have to be really specific with your search term. Like sometimes choose the contains versus start with, and make sure you have all your information correct, because if there's one little error, it won't be able to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, I've worked on that. I think some of it's a study abroad, like the PO number is a unique number that doesn't seem to communicate with the system, and it just like won't show up, or it'll be an OBIE in the revenue expense, but it won't be under purchasing.
Oh, that's
So
weird.
yeah, it's happened to me quite a few times, so I'm not sure.
Natalie, we advise that you probably check the status of your requisition via PeopleSoft or CFS. Hopefully that's a more accurate record. And with that being said, I also wanted to advertise that in purchasing, we're trying to understand you guys' plight and what you guys go through. So we've created a smart sheet in our homepage where you could check the status of a requisition as well. If
Okay,
you
great.
Yeah, if you go to our webpage and click on the link that says under inquiry, check the status of my requisition, you would be able to see where that rec is and what buyer is working on that requisition. The only caveat I have for that is that it is tied to the email address on the requester's information that was submitted with the requisition. So in other
Okay.
words, I couldn't go in there and just spot check another department or another requester's requisition status. But if it was you who initiated the requisition, you should have the ability to see where your requisition is at. And that goes for the entire team on the call.
So then I will plug for the future, if at all possible, in the dean's office, if we could see all our department entries, that would be a future request. But that's great. Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you, Natalie.
Hey, thanks.
I was also going to mention that there has been times recently where a requisition, after a requester has submitted it, it goes on to the fiscal manager and it doesn't end up getting approved. If it is lost in limbo at any time, if you send us the requisition, we could actually check in our system and let you know that, hey, this is still an open status, that it's still pending from the next step of the approver to approve of the requisition, the funds and everything. So if you ever get a time that it's missing or you can't find it, you can send us an email or message us, let us know, hey, can you check on this? And we could check on that for you.
Hi, I have a quick question. In regards to the due date on the requisition, if a department is requesting far in advance, what due date do you prefer? I mean, whether it's a requisition being submitted weeks in advance, or if it's, one of those urgent ones, is there a preference on the due date?
Hey Erica, are you referring to the date that you can enter for the due date on the requisition?
Correct.
It's probably best. You can use that feature, but I think it's best if you just make a note of it in the comments. If there's a certain due date or a time that it needs to be met by, that's probably the best way to do that. Just generally though, I'd say, is if you're wondering when you should submit it, if you know you're planning an event or something a couple months in advance, the earlier you can get all your documents together and submit the rec, the better. Because if we have time, we'll get it done early and and if there's any issues that might come up that could delay the process, we'll be able to take care of that if it does take more time. So I guess I hope that answers your question, but my response would be as early as possible for you.
Okay, thank you.
And just for everyone out there as well, it's been a custom that on the requisition due date, usually 2 weeks to 3 weeks people put in there. But always rest assured that as we're working the requisition and the PO, as we're dealing with the vendors, we get a sense of when the services or the product will get here. So purchasing will revise that due date on the PO side of the house. But customarily has been anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to stand out the due date on your requisition.
Got it, thank you.
I also wanted to add one other thing. If you do have something that you need expedited, and you've entered a requisition, just generally, the best way to get that information across to us is to use our DLCMP email. Like Ryan said, we're all monitoring that and we all see those requests as they come in. So while it might make more sense to reach out to someone directly who you know or you've worked with, you're not, if you reach out to the DL, where every single person in our department's going to see it. So you're getting way more contact that way. So that's just the primary way you should reach out to us.
Thank you, Nikki, for posting the purchase order report in OBIEE. I'm sure that'll be helpful to many on the call. So thank you guys for your questions. If there's more, let us know. But also I want to take the time to plug in that we are having year-end training next Monday. So if you guys could attend that as well, you get to hear the actual due dates for requisition submittal, last dates for change orders, or anything that's going to be happening as we approach the fiscal year end. While we're at it, since most of the buyers are online, I would love to introduce the purchasing team. I'll start it off with the first person I see on my screen here is Lauren. So Lauren, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. My name's Lauren Skog. I'm a buyer 3. Been working here for almost 3 years now. I handle the construction procurement with Sally Yassine, who's the associate director for public works. And I'm also helping out with everyday things that are going on, other projects, RFPs, but I'm also available for any types of questions or anything you guys have. I'm happy to help.
Popcorn it over to Alex Arias.
Hey everyone, Alex Arias. I'm a buyer 3 here at Cal State Fullerton, mostly handling IT purchasing. But like Lauren said, I'm open to all questions and willing to help everyone. So feel free to reach out. Yeah, I'm here to help.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christian LaFoon. I'm a buyer trainee here. I've been buyer trainee for 6 months. Just like the other buyers, I'm here to help. I'm here to learn also from the buyers as well. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know and I'll be able to help you and assist you in any way I can. Thank you.
Pass it on to Christian Bonus, if she's on. She was a little sick, so she might not be on camera, but she's been a trooper and she joined the call. So KB, I call her KB because we have 2 Christians in our department, as you noticed. But if you're on, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, my name is Christian. I'm a buyer too, and I've been with the company for 7 months today, actually. Yeah, I'm mostly in charge of affiliation and clinical agreements, but I still do requisition. So if you have any questions or anything, I would be happy to help, or I would be happy to direct you to the right person. Yeah, just email me, Teams me. You can even call me. I'm here to help. Thank you.
And now we have our great presenter who did a great job, by the way. Thank you, Ryan, for spearheading this for us. You want to give yourself a little background of what you do and how you help people here?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Benavides, buyer 1. I mainly handle furniture, vehicle purchases, small commodity orders. And yeah, I've been here for almost 3 years now. And yeah, if you have any questions, like everyone else in the team has mentioned, if you have any questions, need help with anything, you can reach out to me. I'll be happy to assist. Thank you.
And on the purchasing team, we also have e-business. So if the e-business team is here, if you could guys just give a brief introduction to yourself. That way our campus partners could, get to know you as well and see what you do for us here.
I'll start.
Hi, I'm Nikki Algarin Chavarria. I'm the e-business manager, and I've been in my position a little over a year now. Yeah, we handle all P-card related inquiries, processing, all that good stuff, as well as Staples, Amazon, and CSU Bike. Rosemary, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I lost connection not too long ago. My name is Rosemary Viveros, and I'm a P card program coordinator, and I handle student affairs. I've been with the university for over 3 years and with the department for about 8 months. Thanks.
Cynthia, you want to go next?
Good morning, everybody. I've been in e-business. I help with the P card issues and Voyager card issues. I've been here about a year and a half now.
Bianca?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, my computer was kind of acting up just now also. Yeah, so my name is Bianca Guerrero. We all kind of do all the things, but I mostly handle academic affairs, is my department. I've been here for, I think, about 7 months now in this department.
Thank you.
So thank you, team. Again, we really appreciate your participation, you coming on board and asking all these great questions. We do encourage you to please complete the survey link. Brenda, I think, posted the link. And again, we are grateful and thankful for your patience and, just again, overall working relationship that we have with each other. We hope to continue to service you. I've, by the grace of God, I've amassed a great team, as you could see. We struggled for a while with regards to building the team, but Lauren and Ryan have been through it through thick and thin, and now we have some great acquisition of talent that is helping us move and spearhead the department, to be more innovative, use technology to our advantage, and then with the end goal of helping you guys. We understand how crucial the services you guys request from our department are. Sometimes we could be viewed as a roadblock, but please understand we're trying to also protect the university from all aspects of legal risk and, again, just mitigating risk on behalf of the campus. So we're grateful and thankful for that. Brenda, unless you have something else to say, I think we're pretty much reached the end of our questions.
No.
I wanted to.
Go ahead.
I was going to mention one last thing. This presentation is going to be provided in PDF. So if you ever want to go back to it and use the checklist when you're processing a requisition, this will be provided to everyone attending. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, thank you guys. You guys have a great rest of your days, and let us get back to cracking on your requisitions.